Hey everyone, Sean with the Odyssey here. And I really want Halloween to be here. It's just my favorite time of year, and maybe that's a little ridiculous considering it's only the end of July, but I really do love it. It's just a great season. The colors and the cool air, and there's a lot of fun in being scared, and it's the one time of year where people are okay with being scared. I mean, I know a lot of scary people anyway, so I'm scared most of the time anyway, but regardless, it's a really good time of year, and that's especially when a lot of good horror games come out, and that's what today's topic is about. As a horror movie buff, I love, well, horror movies, of course, and these 5 video games have definitely made me think that they could be horror movies. I mean, if you're a horror movie buff, you need to play these 5 games. So, here we go. 5 video games that I believe every horror movie buff should play. The first entry on my list is Capcom's 2017 entry in their legendary series, Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 is a game that takes the series back to its early survival horror roots, and one thing that I think the game does very well is its atmosphere. I mean, from the first moment you step into the Baker house, you know something just evil lives there. The dilapidated house, the eerie sounds, the crazy family members you'll encounter along the way, and the many other surprises make Resident Evil 7 a standout entry in a series that hasn't always been consistent. And while the third act isn't as horror-focused as the first and second, the game overall is still absolutely terrifying, and it's definitely made me jump quite a few times.
That's special.
Next on the list is a game that actually just released a few months ago, Friday the 13th, the game. Before the game was actually released, it acquired an immense amount of hype behind it. Fans of the movie series were excited to play as a counselor and try and survive, or a Jason and try and murder all the counselors, and horror game fans were excited for a new multiplayer horror game. I mean, I know I was. That was the big reason I bought the game. And there was crossover between the two groups, of course, but anyway, the game certainly won't disappoint fans of the series. There's so many references, and there's landmarks from the games that make appearances, and because of the game, I saw more of the Friday the 13th movies that I hadn't seen. Now, the game can be quite silly with open comms between players, so you'll never quite know who you're going to encounter, and there's some various bugs from time to time, but nonetheless, it's still a really fun multiplayer game that you can just play with a group of friends and just have a good time with. Next is a video game adaptation of one of my personal favorite movies, Alien. Alien Isolation, released just a few years ago, is a rare movie-to-video game adaptation that works extremely well. The developers of the game took inspiration from Ridley Scott's 1979 masterpiece to make a horror-focused, atmospheric game much akin to the original film. As opposed to an action-centric tone like James Cameron's sequel, Alien Isolation is a truly terrifying experience, as the alien is very smart. It will follow you and try to kill you at all costs. You know, big surprise, I guess. The unpredictability of the alien makes the game fresh and fairly challenging. The story is pretty long, and it follows a character that you would not really expect to have a place in the Alien universe. So much could have went wrong with this game, and I'm so glad none of it did. Another multiplayer horror game, Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight came long before Friday the 13th, and they're very different games, so I'm not going to compare them and say one's better than the other, but Dead by Daylight is a unique 4 versus 1 game, where 1 player plays as the killer and 4 players are survivors. The killer's goal is, obviously, to kill and sacrifice survivors to appease a mysterious being known only as the Entity. Okay, there's a lot of lore to this game, and it would take me a while to explain all of it, so I'm just going to give you a very basic version of it here. The game even features Michael Myers and Laurie Strode from the Halloween series in it, and as a big Halloween fan, that makes me really happy. The game offers lots of unique perks for different characters, and you can basically customize each character to however you want to play. And same goes with the killers, of course. So if you're looking for another multiplayer game to play with some friends and try and outwit a killer, go for it. DBD is your game. Okay, so everyone basically knows that these games exist, but they're still worth talking about for my list. Outlast and Outlast 2 are two excellent games that I think horror movie buffs will certainly appreciate. They definitely have a found footage feel to them, as you, the player, use a camera to navigate in the darkness, listen in on enemies, record video of suspicious things, and so on. There's lots of things you do with the camera, especially in the second game. But anyway, a lot of people already know these games and love them, and I'm not going to go on for too long about them, but they are, like I said, they're definitely worth mentioning for this list. They're very scary and immersive, and they have a lot of interesting ideas behind them. And if you haven't played the first Outlast by now, you owe it to yourself to do so. It's scary.
So be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little mouth, what you say. Oh, be careful, little mouth, what you say.
Alright, so we've reached the end of the list, and these are the 5 games that I feel definitely have a horror movie vibe to them, and horror movie buffs like myself will definitely appreciate. I mean, I've played and I've loved every single one of these games on this list, and there's none of them that I definitely regret playing. And I might add, there are so many other games I could have put on this list. Amnesia: The Dark Descent, Soma, I mean, the list could go on forever, but I feel like these ones are a good start to the list, and ones that stand out in my mind. So, if you agree with the list, or don't agree, just leave a comment, let me know what you think, and as always guys, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. This has been an Odyssey video with Sean White.